Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Guys channel. How are you all doing? Yes, I am doing stuff again. Don't get used to it. Probably not going to happen very often. Though I am doing something again on Saturday, so keep keep up to that one. Today we're having a catch discussion, and we're going to be talking about ideology again. I'm here with a very old friend, but a good friend. And that's maddodge, the libertarian on maddodge Productions, if you want to go sub to him on YouTube. And we're going to be talking about libertarianism. So, maddodge, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good as usual. I'm right, you're wrong. And how's it going?
Yeah, no, I think that's the libertarian ideology completely nightly sorted out there. I think we can all go home.
Yeah, it's sorted.
No, it's good to actually have you on. For people that haven't or don't know maddodge, he used to be on his channel quite often. He used to come on mine quite often, and so on and so forth. It's not that we drifted apart or anything. It's generally because I'm a lazy fuck, and he's in America, and I can't be asked to get up at his time or stay awake to his time. So, you know, just time zones.
Well,
but overall, I actually quite like. Go on.
I'm sorry. No, I have to cut you off. Get a proper time zone. How dare you? No. I don't understand this.
I'm pretty sure. No. Wait. I'm pretty sure that our time zones are the center of the universe, sir. After all, we are Greenwich Mean Time. Everybody else takes our time from us. You are an hour in front or an hour behind, but nobody is the same as us.
See, I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. That's what I was leading into. Is the Brits all seem to think they own time zones. Like we invented this shit.
We created the fucker. We created the fucker. Yeah, as you can tell, me and maddodge go back quite well.
Go drink some more tea. All right, Earl Grey.
I'm literally drinking a pint of Jack Daniels and Coke. Fuck you.
Oh, that's American, sir. Fuck you.
Yeah, as you can tell, me and maddodge have known each other for quite a while, so it's going to be a good stream. Should be quite good. So we're going to talk about ideologies, and we're going to talk about maddodge's ideology, which is libertarianism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to maddodge so that he can actually explain his position, because I know his position, but I'm going to let him explain it. So after you, sir, if you could just give a brief summary of what type of libertarianism you believe in.
I was going to make a joke and just say, I'm right, you're wrong. There we go. We're done. But no, we'll actually do this correctly. I believe in individual rights. I believe that you should not base everything upon the community as a whole. Individuals actually matter. And if you base everything down to individual rights, then everybody will be treated at least semi-decently. And you won't have the government overreach and control. Because when the government starts to control every facet of your life, then you are not free anymore. You might as well be a serf. As you would well know, Englishman. You know what a serf is, right? I'm sure you have some relatives that were serfs back in the day. Unless you're
we're going to have to elaborate for our older audience, because my audience is actually a little bit older than most people's audience. I don't know why, but generally you'd have to elaborate. So what is a serf to you?
A slave. Somebody who is forced to work for someone else's benefit with hardly any benefit to themselves. You don't.
Are you talking about the idea of? Sorry, I was just going to say, are you talking about the idea of a wage slave, as in say taking reference from the Marxism ideology?
Okay, sorry about the kids and the kittens. Yeah, freaking cats meowing behind me. It's annoying me. So I apologize for that. But no, I'm more talking about serfdom as in the medieval sense, where you were stuck on the landlord's property. You didn't own anything. Your family was stuck there for all eternity. And all you did was work for someone else's benefit. That's what the government wants you to do today, especially a Marxist government and even a capitalist government in a certain sense.
So, okay, so what's your idea with the correlation between capitalism and libertarianism? You've obviously just touched on a point where most people would say that the correlation between libertarianism and capitalism is almost interchangeable, as in it's almost a form of minarchism. If you were going to have anarcho-capitalism, it would almost be a minarchism of that. So when you're saying that there's an idea of capitalism being able to take, let's say, advantage of certain peoples, are you saying that that's inherently part of libertarianism, or are you saying that that's a byproduct of capitalism, or both?
Okay. The way I would put it is, it's almost like back in the 1800s when we had the Industrial Revolution. What you saw in the northern states was the rise of the company store, where you would work there, you would live there, and you would spend your money there. You never got to save your paycheck and actually work your way out of that situation. You were kept there by society, and it was rigged against you. Now, that is a toxic form of capitalism, but that's where capitalism rises from. It will start there, but as it matures and grows and adapts, you will rise out of that situation. Now, in the Western world, you don't have the company store necessarily. You don't have this because now we have gotten rich enough to where we can care about workers' rights, where we can care about rising people out of their situation. In the third world, they're still stuck back in the Industrial Revolution. So yeah, you have in China sweatshops and this stuff. We had that in America. You had that in London. We have just risen out of it. So capitalism isn't necessarily evil for evil's sake. It just needs to evolve. And I know that doesn't really answer your question, but it's the best I could do, off the top of my head.
No, I understand. No, I understand your position. Your position is a case of whatever system that you put into place is always going to evolve, and it's always going to come to a point where people are going to take advantage of certain people so that they can bolster themselves up. But eventually, it will even itself out, where more and more people will be able to do more and more, and then more and more people will be able to get more rights and be where we are today, where we are more equal than we have ever been, so to speak. My question to you on that is, if I'm under the impression of your ideology, how would you square workers' rights under the idea of libertarianism?
You have the right to choose who you work for, and they have the right to set the rules in their workplace. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of OSHA. I'm not a big fan of government regulation. So if you don't like the rules at your workplace, okay, I was working for a company and they told me to climb up the scaffolding and pull down parts, and with no safety harness, no nothing. I looked at him and said, fire me if you want, but get bent. I'm not doing it. I don't like heights. I will fall, and I'm not doing it.
Sure.
You have that right. Okay. And you can say, well, no, I don't, because I need the paycheck. Hey, McDonald's is hiring.
Sure, exactly. But you were saying about the idea of how capitalism was evolving, so to speak, or in your ideology, it was going to evolve, so to speak. And you were hinting on the fact of how society has pushed forward the ideology of workers' rights. With the idea of libertarianism, or my understanding of libertarianism, again, with the idea of workers' rights, that has connotations of specific notions of government interventions, being able to make sure you have a unification of rights throughout the whole of the working kingdom, if you want to put it colloquially. So would that be something you as a libertarian would be happy with, or would there be something that you would, let's say, accept because it's a necessity?
Are you saying that the government should regulate the workplace and make rules universal throughout? My answer would be no. I don't want that type of government regulation. I don't want the government in my pocketbook. I don't want them in my company. I don't want them in my bedroom either.
Sure. The reason why I ask those questions is not to try and trip you up or anything else like that. It's trying to understand your position of where you said before that you're for the idea of workers' rights.
I'm for the right to
I don't understand
where you work. No,
yeah.
See, what I mean by workers' rights is you have the right to work at a certain place, and you have the right to not work there. They also have the right to tell you to do something. Like I said, they told me to climb up the scaffolding. I said, get fucked. You can fire me if you want. I'm not doing it. That was my right. Guess what? They didn't fire me. They said, okay.
Sure.
And they asked the next guy, and the next guy was willing to do it. That's his problem. If he falls, it's his problem.
No, sure. No. I completely understand that. But I mean, when you have the idea of or connotation, as we said, as workers' rights, normally that comes with a perception or a meaning behind it, where you have a universality behind it, where you'd have a generalized right system or a generalized point. That's why I was trying.
Union man, if that's what you're asking, I'm not a union man. I don't like the idea.
No, I wasn't.
Well, no, because when you say workers' rights, what pops in your head is unions, protests, workers united, right? Communism. Those are the connotations that come with workers' rights. I get what road you're leading me down here. No, I do not believe that.
Okay, so what would it be a case of? What rights are you saying? I know that you're saying that you should have rights to be able to walk away from a particular job or asking them to not do a particular part of the job. But what other rights are you saying that the companies should have as well? Because I presume that you would say that they would have some form of rights to be able to function.
What the company's allowed to do? The company's allowed to create their product, make money, employ you at their discretion. Although there is something where maybe me and memes can agree on, because I see the chat and they brought up memes a few times here. Memes would probably think, if I have to give a two-week notice to leave a job, then they need to give me a 2-week notice to fire me. Maybe something like that could work, because just showing up to work and being like, hey, Bob, come here. Hey, Bob, you're a cunt. You're fired. Here's your check. Bye. That's not really like, that's out of nowhere. What poor Bob do?
But what sort of type of regulation would you put in place to be able to do that? I know that you said that there should be something like a 2-week notice period for either side, but how would you be able to enforce that if you weren't going to put in a form of workers' rights?
You force it socially. You shame the company. Kraft fires half their workforce because I don't know. What's something that's completely ridiculous? Kraft decides that they hate Easter. Everybody that celebrates Easter at their company, they fire in mass. They're like, screw you. Screw Easter. Okay. We don't have the government do anything. We nail them on social media. And suddenly their sales drop through the basement. And they're like, wait a minute, people like Easter. Maybe we're cunts.
Sure, but I completely not understand where you're coming from, where you're trying to say that the hand of the market will be able to either deter or force, in the colloquial term of force, of being able to make them do something that socially is unacceptable.
Just a second. Miss Murder, I've never even heard you talk politics ever. So until you actually step into the political arena, how about you shut up? Because all I see is you bitching in the chat. Until you step into the arena, shut the fuck up. Okay, woman, the grown men are talking.
I do not necessarily endorse anything that these people say on my channel.
That's probably smart.
But let's say that social media itself doesn't actually provide any sort of backlash towards these people. Yeah, people say a lot of things, but people are still going in to buy their products, and half of the country or half of the population is still going in and, you know, working for them, so to speak. Where's the social repercussions from them? Because, as you know, you could have people that vote halfway and vote the other half. It really doesn't. You're never going to please everybody all of the time anyway. So why not do what you want?
This is what sucks about being a libertarian. Then nothing happens. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna send in the government squad. Nothing happens then. If the popular belief is fuck Easter, then the popular belief is fuck Easter. I mean, you're screwed. I don't know what to tell you.
I wasn't trying to say that the public opinion was fuck Easter. I think it was more of a case of trying to say nobody cares that they want to fuck Easter. That was more of my point, that they just didn't care what the company did. Like, people that buy Nike don't care that they have sweatshops everywhere.
Yeah, and Nike is still selling $100 shoes that they're making for $550. Absolutely.
Sure.
I mean, you know, you can't win every battle. I don't know. Sometimes you just have to take the loss.
Sure, but if the countries in which that they were actually making the products had government enforcement like America does, then those sweatshops wouldn't be able to operate. The point I'm making is not that I support government, but if you don't have regulations, then you can't enforce anything.
But here's the thing, though. Those countries like China, India, Pakistan, what have you, they don't have the regulations we have because they're still at the Industrial Revolution stage. As they grow out of that, as their economy gets better and everybody is in a better position social economically, then they will get the regulations. Because when you can afford regulation, you do the regulations. When you can afford to care, you care. They can't afford to care.
I agree. I agree, but you not to try and go to a point of, oh, I got you or anything. And I'm not trying to do that. But you just proved my point, if you will. I know that you're saying regulation as in social regulations, but I can quite easily adopt the idea of government regulations in place of your idea of social regulations.
Yeah, but socially, we have a social contract already, right? We agree that I shouldn't walk up on your yard and take a shit. Okay, that's a social agreement. I shouldn't shit in your front lawn, right? We don't need to call the cops about this. We agree. I'm not going to shit on your front lawn. We don't necessarily need regulations coming from somebody that we deem better than us, because that's what you're doing. When you're granting your freedom to somebody else, you're agreeing that they are better at handling your rights than you are. I don't think so. I don't think the government needs to enforce anything. I think if I go to work and I notice that we're working with chemicals and they're not giving me a respirator, you know, maybe I shouldn't be fucking working here. Right?
Sure, but somebody else is going to take your position regardless if there's no regulations.
If you take the risk, then you take the risk. It all boils down to...
No, I agree. No, I completely agree. But as long as you have people that are taking those risks, nothing's going to change, which is my point, which is why people do accept that with different hierarchies that they may want to implement, have a point of enforcing sort of regulations. You see that with the idea of tribes, for instance. You have your chieftains, so on and so forth, going all the way down. But they do have a sense of hierarchy where they're able to enforce these sets of rules. I'm sure that you agree that there should be sets of rules that are going to be enforced. And I'm sure that you're a libertarian that has the idea that if there is something that goes against the NAP, so to speak, that you'd want to enforce it.
Yeah, well, if it neither picks my pocket or breaks my leg, I do not care. That's the regulation I'm looking at. Don't rob me, don't assault me, don't, that's it. Just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. Leave my family alone and I'll leave your family alone. It's a basic principle.
Sure, but yet that principle is normally broken and is broken almost every second of every day worldwide, because humans naturally, as you quite rightly admit, are selfish creatures and we want what we want. So very regularly that NAP is going to be broken quite regularly, regardless of if you think it isn't.
So are you you're in the camp of the second president of the United States, John Adams, where if men were angels, we wouldn't need governments. But we're not, so we need force to keep us in line. That's your camp, right? Because I
agree that I think that
in the third president's camp. I'm more Jeffersonian.
Sure, no, that I understand where your ideology stems from, so to speak. But yeah, I am of the principles that humans naturally are selfish creatures and we need forms of either social regulations or government regulations. Generally, we've tried the social regulations for maybe not millennia, but for thousands of years, and it didn't work, which is why it elevated to feudalism and then elevated to forms of democracy.
Okay, well, when does the government regulation go too far, in your opinion? Then let's turn the microphone around to you.
Sure, no problem. I would say that government regulations itself, for me, goes too far when they start infringing people on freedom of speech, on rights themselves, when they start going over and across that. I do think that companies themselves should be put forward with certain rights and make sure that workers have rights as well as the company have rights. Otherwise, we're in a position of, anarchy, to be honest with you.
What's wrong with anarchy? We'll get to that. Never mind. Okay. So what type of rights do you think workers are entitled? Because that's what you're saying. They're entitled to these rights.
No, I'm saying that we agree to these rights. That doesn't mean that they're entitled to the rights. I'm saying that as a society, we agree that these are what the rights that we are bestowing onto them. That doesn't mean that they're entitled to it. It's society agreeing to it.
If we agree as a society, then why do we need government regulation to enforce what we already agreed upon?
Because we need a hierarchy to be able to say that these leaders are what we have decided are our leaders, and we're going to listen to those leaders so that they can enforce it. Because society itself never enforces hierarchy.
So we need the crown. See, you're showing your monarchy again.
No. I never said that hierarchy needs to be a monarchy. I'm actually of the disposition that it should be localized government. I'm a minarchist. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe that we should have hierarchies. Because as human beings, we always need leaders and figureheads.
Okay, so that was just a little jab towards the British. I had to. I'm sorry. It had to happen. But no, I'm still waiting. Okay, if we decide as a society that these rights are granted, I don't know, like, what is that document? That's it's really important. I always forget its name. Oh, the Constitution. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
If we decide that something is a set standard as a society, then we enforce that set standard. Why do we keep adding to it in the case of hundreds and thousands of laws per year? Why? I thought we as a society decided this was important. This was so important that we will fight a war over it. We will take the hazard. We will risk our security, our livelihoods, and our families' livelihoods over this.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need to add to it because it's not quite enough. Wait, what?
No, things change all the time. You would say that there's set rules for a 2-year-old, but when that 2-year-old gets to being a teenager, you're going to have a hell of a lot more rules for that 2-year-old, aren't you?
Actually, don't the rules lighten up? Because I mean, a 2-year-old, you're not allowed
Not
to
necessarily.
drive, you're not allowed to babysit, you can't go anywhere. Now you're a teenager, you could drive.
Sure, but they're also not asking for it. Sure, but they're also not asking for it, though, are they? The point is that with society as it grows, they ask and more things occur with society as it grows. So more and more people have more and more problems and more issues. So more and more laws sometimes need to be created. Not always, but needs to be created sometimes. And that's the way that I use the analogy of a 2-year-old doesn't always need everything that a 16-year-old needs or an 18-year-old needs or a 21-year-old.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. We're dwelling on the social contract issue. Move on. What's your next question?
I would actually like to ask you, where does the social contract actually stem from? Does it actually stem from points of hierarchy that stems from the ideology of society, or does it stem from the point of individuality, in your opinion?
I don't know, actually. Like, I've never actually thought about that. I would say that the social contract kind of stems from both because it's been handed down to us from our elders, from our posterity. So it's been passed down. I mean, you could bring the roots up of the Magna Carta, for God's sake. I mean, so
Exactly.
really it comes down through historical ways, but does our great grandparents have the right to direct what we do? They really don't. So I believe the social contract is renewed with every generation as well as we accept it, because we don't necessarily have to accept it. I mean, look at Portland, for God's sake, and Antifa. They don't necessarily accept the social contract now, do they?
No, of course they don't. But that doesn't mean that the social contract itself is inherently for human beings, because you can, as you said, accept it and reject it. But if you have a group that accept it, then they're going to follow it. If you have a group that rejects it, how do you then enforce that social contract from your ideology?
I'm really not sure, actually. Sorry to say, you actually got me stumped on this one. Yeah, you threw a curveball and I swung and missed. I don't know, man. I got nothing. At least I'm smart enough to know when to bow out. I got nothing on this one.
No, that's honestly not a problem. I like to be able to throw those types of curveballs. Simply because I love being able to find out how deep people have thought of the ideologies. Now, you yourself have thought of the ideology that you have quite well. It's just a case of I like to find out where the bases come from, because it sounds like you have a external level, but your foundation level of where it all stemmed from hasn't come quite out yet.
Well, politics is a fluid animal, really, and
like gender.
No, but whatever. Leave that alone. You see, there is a problem with me. Is I do have a couple of base theories that I switch from, and this is with politics and it's also with religion. I go back and forth from being agnostic to Catholicism. I just one day I see the value of Catholicism, and then the next day I see the fallacy, and it's because it has both, and I recognize both. So I have this argument with myself. And I kind of do that with politics, where I go from quite liberal on quite a few issues, like drugs, like the death penalty. I'm completely opposed. But then I go quite conservative, where I'm completely opposed to abortion. And I'm, I have other stances that are quite conservative. Like I want the border locked down and to have an Ellis Island style immigration, which is kind of, once again, both sides of the issue.
Sure.
So I don't know. I get mixed up sometimes and go back and forth, which I think.
Could I ask you then? Could I ask you then? How would you square that libertarian circle with a Catholic theocracy? Because they're obviously very contradicting ideas.
Well, the thing with Catholicism is it is the foundation for most of Western religion. It really is, if you want to look at it. And it got its foundation.
Technically, it's Judaism. Technically, it's Judaism, but carry on.
Yes, it was.
Saying it's the oldest.
It was a Jewish cult. I mean, yes, you're kind of right. But then again, I mean, I think Hitler would disagree with you.
No, I do agree with you. The point that I was getting at, that you were saying that Catholicism was the foundation for Western society. I would actually argue that Judaism was actually the foundation of Western society, simply because that's where all of Christianity stemmed from.
Yeah, but they were a small population within a pagan world. The Roman world was a pagan world, and the Judaism populace of that world were stuck in one location pretty much. They weren't in Rome, they weren't in Germania, they weren't in Roman England. They were in the West Bank, they were in Judea. You know, so
I think Obvious Enigma has actually called it correct there. We should just call it Abrahamic and move on. Abrahamic religion's foundation of Western society. I can easily agree with that.
Yeah, fair enough, because that covers the big three. And it ends the argument. So,
But how would you, as I said, how would you square that circle with libertarianism, with the idea of being completely and utterly free and everything else like that, so to speak, and with the idea of a Catholic theocracy, where basically the Catholic Church tells you literally everything to do?
Okay, I don't know, bollocks, what you're even talking about, dude. Yeah, there's kittens behind me in a box with a bowl of milk that were meowing and being loud and annoying. If that equates to I'm fucking cats, then I guess call me memes. I'm a scaly suddenly. Okay, because
wouldn't you be a fairy?
I don't know, what is memes. I have no idea. I'm not.
Memes is a scaly. Memes is a scaly, but you doing something else would actually be a case of fairy. Anyway, this is why I don't invite you on, man.
Hey, I'm reading your chat. These are your people. Now,
no, they're not. They've come from your side. I think he's more trying to say that, in my opinion, I would say that he's trying to say that you're a libertarian, and it kind of contradicts with the fact of being a theocracy. Because he's trying to say that you have the right to do this, you have the right to do that, to try and get us back on to topic. I'm not. Okay. Yep. No, I have figured out what you was talking about. I have put you back onto the stream, man. So if you're still around, then please come back.
StreamYards likes to do that. I didn't even click anything and just shut down the browser tab. It does that every once in a while.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I am actually really interested how you actually square that circle, so to speak, because they are completely and utterly contradicting ideologies, or do you not think they are?
No, they are, especially with the modern, and that's my first beer. cracked open. So cheers, sir. Now with the modern church, with the Holy See today, they are pretty much communist. Okay, so I cannot square that away at all. When it comes to faith, that's part of what keeps going, making me go back and forth on it, is the Holy See itself. How I do not believe what they do politically at all. But then again, there's a long history of the Catholic Church, and they have done more good than evil, in my opinion.
Oh no, I'm not asking you to defend the Catholic Church. Religion has done good, religion has done bad. I'm more trying to ascertain how, let me put it this way, how the cognitive dissonance is that you hold one view, but then you can flip to another view, and how having those two views are apparently contradictory.
Do you necessarily have to mix religion with your politics?
No, but if you're saying that you'd want a Catholic theocracy, then you're not mixing your religion with your politics.
I don't want to force the Catholic Church down your throat, though. I'm not going to make you be Catholic. So, I mean, I can have my own personal faith and then still believe in individual freedom, because I'm not going to.
No, I completely agree.
To my faith, right? Like, if I believe,
I completely agree.
If I need to go to confession, if I need to say 10,000 Hail Marys, that's a me problem. I don't need to.
No, I agree.
Impose that upon you.
No, I completely and utterly agree with you. My point isn't about the idea of forcing a religion onto anybody. It's about the idea of having a theocracy, the Catholic Church, completely and utterly in control of society. In other words, dictating through the eyes of religion, politically, what you can and cannot do. That doesn't mean that you're forcing Catholicism onto people.
Oh, no. Do you think if that's what you think I meant, no. I do not want the Holy See to run the world. No. That would be horrible. That's the worst idea ever. No. If that's what you think, then no, I did not mean that. Like, let's stop that idea real quick. No.
That's fine. No problem.
That's like saying I want the Ayatollah to run shit. No. Bad idea.
Exactly, yes. That's exactly where I was going, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
no,
not.
That's absolutely fine. No, I'm absolutely fine with the idea of people wanting the idea of religion and whatnot. That's up to them. That's their choice and whatnot. Religion and politics are two separate ideologies, which one does go into the other. If you're religious, you generally have more of a conservatarian point of view, let's say. But no, I can see why you can separate and why you should separate. It's just interesting to me that
I have a question for you, though. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I have a question for you, though.
No, that's fine. Carry
on. Your idea of where I was going with religion was wrong, and I'm glad I got that corrected. But it does lead me to think about something. What exactly is a constitutional monarchy? I mean, really? I mean, you want to talk about mixing up fucking political ideals here. You have a monarchy, so you have a ruler by bloodline. Okay, she's only ruler because of her family. That's it. Sure. Just like the next ruler will only be ruler because they're part of the family. Okay.
Sure.
How is that constitutional? I don't.
Because she has to stand off.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, because she actually doesn't interfere with laws. All she does is ratify them or speak of what the government has decided that they are going to do. And she says that this is what my government's going to do. She's basically a figurehead. She generally doesn't actually have. Let me rephrase. She does have the power, but she doesn't actually get into any of the power. All she does is ratify.
Okay, that's all she does. But that's not all she could do. Okay, her power is actually real. She holds real power.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, so just because you don't act upon said power doesn't mean you don't have it. And the fact that you have it goes completely against the idea of a constitution, of a representative republic, because you don't choose her to represent you. She represents you because, well, the divine right of kings, right?
So to speak, yes.
No, because it all boils back down to that. That was always the ruler's argument. The divine right of kings. Divine, as in God-given right to rule over you. You understand my American...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Let me rephrase and reframe the question then. How are those emergency orders coming across?
Oh no, you're right. And I've been screaming at this. Like everybody's calling me insane. They're saying, you know, I want everybody to get sick and die. Okay. I have been branded the bad guy here. So you're preaching to the choir, buddy.
No, I'm with you. But the reason why I draw the comparison is because your president isn't actually limited. If he wants to do more emergency orders, then he can. Our queen is limited by our constitution to actually enact any singular rule that she wants. If she was actually to enact any rule that she wants by herself, singularly, then the government themselves has the power to remove her as the figurehead of the country.
That's fair, but she could preempt them and dissolve parliament. She has the power.
It's in the constitution. No, it's in the constitution. She cannot dissolve parliament.
Cabby has said she can dissolve parliament. I think Jensen's told me she can dissolve parliament. I talked to a lot of you guys from Great Britain. Believe it or not, I talk to you guys more than I talk to Americans. She can't.
No, I'm with you, but she can't by herself without the government being able to rise up against her. She can do fucking anything that she wants because she's the queen. But in the constitution, they have the right to then go against her and oust her as queen. She will no longer be the figurehead. She can do what she wants, but there are repercussions for it.
Hey, I believe you guys had a civil war before. Do you want another one? Because that's how you get another one.
That's why the queen would never go and dissolve parliament.
Like, do you know how many people would say, I'm the queen's man and stand up? And then how many people would go, I'm with the parliament and stand up? I mean,
a lot more people would be with democracy in this country.
Yeah, that little island of yours would be it would look like, well, Ireland in the fucking 70s. I mean, it wouldn't be good.
I disagree. I don't think that there are many royalists when it comes to the point of having a figurehead as our leader. Most people in the country that I've spoken to are more democratic and still believe in the idea of democracy. So they wouldn't go from the idea of a monarchy. Don't get me wrong. There still are people that support the queen, but supporting the queen over democracy is completely different than supporting the queen.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask Jensen directly. Jensen, you've told me before that you're the queen's man. Are you? If it boils down to it, you with the queen or you with parliament? I'm actually asking because I don't know. I disagree with you. A lot of the people I've talked to would be with the queen.
Yeah, but most of the people that you talk to are ex-military, so they fight for queen and country.
That's fair. But isn't most of your country though? Don't you guys mostly serve like at a higher population level than even the United States? When you do
percentage-wise,
yeah, percentage, not numbers. Obviously, we're a bigger country, you know. And Jensen, queen and country. Yeah,
queen and country. Yeah, queen and country. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Fine,
you would have a lot of people say, no, I'm with her. It would not be good. It'd be another English Civil War.
Sure, but the point is that you're trying to say that the queen would do this and these people would do that. The point is that she can't, and if they did, then Parliament would dissolve her as a figurehead anyway, because that's in the Constitution.
Yeah, you know what happened?
But when the legislation is actually in place, that's what the legislation is actually in place for.
Yeah. I don't know. I know that you had a king who signed the Magna Carta and then immediately dissolved said Magna Carta. The king or queen has the right to dissolve any agreement, pretty much, because they are, well, once again, you know, the divine right of kings. They have that right.
They don't have the right over Parliament. They don't have that right over Parliament simply because of the Parliamentary Act that came after Cromwell. That's the reason why they then turned into a figurehead and wasn't actually given any actual powers.
Yeah, but let's say I'm the king of England, right? Never happening. But let's say I'm the king of England, and you come to me and go, "You don't have the right of Parliament." I go, "Yeah, I have the right of God." Send them to the tower. Next. You know,
Sure.
I can do whatever I want. What are you going to do? Arrest me? Oh, wait, you can't. I don't even need a driver's license, bitch.
Yeah.
I can just jump in a fucking airplane and start flying around willy-nilly. Like, you don't want me as king.
Yeah, but those are all points of them having, what do you call it, privilege in that aspect. They have the privilege to do that as a figurehead. It's not actually a case that they can go around and do anything willy-nilly. They still don't have that divine right, so to speak, because of the actual constitution and the actual legislation that's put place by Parliament.
Okay, fair enough. And I threw it on you. Go ahead. What's your next question about libertarianism? Go for it.
Well, I suppose my next question about libertarianism, if we were going to go down that type of road, is you were able to go through the points of hierarchy, and I'm able to argue different points of hierarchy. Now, I could be wrong, I could be right, but those are the different points of hierarchy that we have. What types of hierarchy do you have that you could argue against, or in fact, should we say, talk to or ask for advice for in the idea of libertarianism?
What do you mean? Hierarchy in a government sense?
Leadership. Okay. Any form of leadership.
Representative republic. I would prefer that it was people that at least have jobs that vote. I wouldn't go back to the landowner clause, but I would at least say you need to pay taxes to be able to vote. You need some skin in the game, but just a representative.
Sure. Is that a limitation then? Is that a limitation on who can and cannot vote then? Who's going to enforce that limitation?
Yes, because I don't want the welfare queens voting for more fucking Democrats every year so they can get more welfare.
I understand what you want. I understand what you want and the reasons why that you would want to go against it. But if you're a libertarian and you want everybody to have forms of equal rights, you just put on limitations that need to be enforced of people not actually being treated equally.
If having a job and being a responsible adult is a limitation, then so be it. But really, that's a limitation. I mean, you have 15-year-olds getting jobs.
Sure, you can have 15-year-olds getting jobs, but there's also, in an economy, always going to be people that are out of jobs. So just by them being out of jobs 1 year or for that period of time, under your system that you put limitations on, they can't vote because you decided against it.
I don't know. You need some skin in the game. You can't keep just spending other people's money because it makes you feel good. Spending money on Planned Parenthood because, oh my God, that Taniqua in fucking Oakland won't be able to have her third abortion of the year. I don't care. Okay, I'm sick of you spending my money.
No, I completely not understand that. Let's say that they don't actually have the money, they don't have the right to be able to do anything of the money, and they just have the right to vote. You just put limitations on them from being just citizens to now not being able to vote. because of them working on
You do know that America didn't allow anybody to vote that wasn't a landowner, right, for the longest time.
Of course, the same as the same as the UK did up to the 1920s.
Yeah,
I believe the US
so,
was.
I'm not speaking insanity here. Matter of fact,
I'm not saying that you're not
lower than what they were at.
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying, as a libertarian, it goes against your ideology.
I don't know how to justify it other than the fact it's not your right to spend.
But you don't want it.
It's not your right.
It comes down to. Fine, then in that case, then you can't give it to the government.
I don't want to pay. I don't want their unconstitutional income tax either. Okay.
Sure. I'm not proposing that. You're already going past an argument that I'm not making. All I'm saying is about voting rights.
Yeah,
you're adding on these extra hypotheticals.
If you're not putting money into the system, you don't have the right to tell me.
What about if they have done? What about if they have done? What if they've worked for 30 years of their life and then they're out of the job?
No, we can come to an agreement. We can have a like if you've had a job in the last 2 election cycles, then you can still vote. We can come to an agreement here. There is a middle ground. I'm not unbending, but I mean, if you've only been a welfare,
I understand. Do you know why I'm going down this road?
If you only spit out 10 kids a fucking decade just so you could fucking get more welfare, just so you could vote for more Democrats, so you can get more welfare. I don't want you spending my fucking money, bitch.
Sure. Do they not have the right to be able to do that under your ideology of libertarianism? Under the not the spending of money, but for what they want to do.
Under my ideology. Okay. Yes, it's called self-responsibility. It's called you be responsible for yourself. You don't get my money if you're a slut.
I agree. Well, I don't agree with that, but what I'm trying to say is, man, drop the money side of things. Strip it to bare bones. The idea of libertarianism is everybody is supposed to be treated equally and have exactly the same rights. Under what you've just proposed, you are saying that due to stipulations that you have prescribed to other people for what they may or may not want to do or what you perceive them to be wanting to do, you're going to limit them on their voting pattern and having rights given them. That's what you've just said, that you're going to limit their rights because of what you want them to do.
What I am saying is not that I'm limiting their rights. I am protecting your right to keep your own money from control of others who want to spend it. It is protecting rights, not barring rights. If you want to be involved in the economy, participate.
I don't want young kids to die from guns. I'm protecting your rights by taking your guns.
Too bad. We have it in the Constitution called the Second Amendment. We already wrote
Too
that.
Bad. It's in the Constitution that citizens are allowed to vote.
Yeah, and was in the Constitution that only landowners could vote. Should we go back to that?
And then it got removed.
No, it didn't.
Well, repealed. It repealed.
Amended. You want to go terminology, get it right.
Sure, no problem.
You
want to change the amendment again.
Piers Morgan gun jab there kind of pissed me off.
No. It's what appears. You do realize that I am for guns. I'm for guns, man. You know I'm for guns. So when I point out the fact that what you're saying is that I'm protecting people because I don't want them to spend money, so I'm restricting their rights, the actual argument is exactly the same as what they've just made for guns. Exactly the same. It's just important to you.
I don't see it that way because
because you want to protect people from spending.
How are you spending my money protecting anybody? How? But
it's not just your money.
I hate to say it.
You can't dictate from what the whole of the country goes. It's not just your money.
Apples and oranges. And I hate that term.
No.
Everybody uses it.
No, it really isn't. Man, it really isn't. It really isn't. It's exactly the same point.
Okay, I don't know who this Enigma person is. It's one of yours. But I've taken 3 sips of beer. If that makes me drunk, then I am more of a lightweight than your fucking mom on prom night.
To be fair, his mom on prom night is pretty decent.
Nice.
But I mean, even Shirati in the chat, if we're taking points from the chat, is saying that you're being a hypocrite. So even she's understanding where I'm drawing the comparison from.
Okay. Well,
I'm not trying to say I want to take your guns. I'm just trying to point out that because you have a issue and you think that it's an important issue, you're willing to restrict other people's rights because you think it's for the greater good. And that's exactly the same as what people are trying to do for the gun grabs.
Okay, we already restrict the right to vote. If you are convicted of a felony, you are sent to prison and you are released. You are now a free individual. You are now free and clear. You served your debt to society. Guess what you're not allowed to do? You're not allowed to fucking vote. So, okay, we're already restricting.
So what have they done that's against the law? It's called not the criminals.
It's called theft.
Not the criminals.
Theft.
Okay, so all government needs to be put into prison.
They are abusing the welfare system, and it is theft. It is stealing from the American people. It is stealing from our great-grandchildren. It is stealing. It is theft. Yes, they are committing a crime. When they are opening their legs, they're spinning kids out left and right, and they have no intention of ever getting a job, ever. They're going to sit on welfare for their entire fucking existence. And then their daughters are going to do the same fucking thing repeatedly. They are stealing. Yeah. Why are we letting them control the narrative? What do you think the Democratic voting bloc is? It's the dead in Chicago and the welfare queens. Come on.
All I'm saying is, under the principle of rights, they should still have the right to vote. You restricting them from their rights because of your perceptions of welfare state and so on and so forth is still a restriction of rights. Even if you believe that it's a point of you protecting the welfare or protecting your money, it's still a point of them being restricted their rights. And I don't mean on getting welfare, I mean on the right to vote.
You know what? That's it. I'm with Pinoid. Repeal the 19th.
So now all women can't vote.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You shoved me. I'm done. Next question. Next. I'm done. I'm done with this.
But doesn't that stop the freedom of rights, and equality for all and whatnot?
I said I'm done. Next.
Bitch, I'm done. Move on, bitch. Okay, so let me kind of rephrase then, not to go back onto the same point, but do you believe in the idea of people should have individual rights? Everybody should have the same individual rights.
Which rights? Like life,
whatever rights that you believe in.
Life, liberty.
Yeah, whatever rights that you believe in.
Okay. Sure. The obvious answer is yes, and then you're gonna go, gotcha, Mad Dodge, because you were just saying. No, that's not.
No, I'm not doing that, Dodge. I'm not doing that. For a start, you're a friend, and second of all, it's an ideology. So I'm asking you for your opinions on it. So if everybody has exactly the same rights, how would you be able to enforce those rights onto other people to make sure that other people are protecting those lives, those liberties, and so on and so forth?
Well, here's the thing, though. If you want to go into individual rights, you could talk to me, and I say everybody has the right to life. I'm going to repeat that 3 times, okay? Remember, life, sure. Liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, you go and you talk to Karen. What's Karen going to say? Well, my body, my choice. I could kill that thing. Okay, well, does that baby have the same rights then? I mean, so yeah, you can have a gotcha moment on me when it comes to I would like you to have skin in the game to vote because I want you to care. I don't want you to just check something off. Okay? Because if you have no skin in the game, you don't really care. You're not informed. You shouldn't be voting to begin with. But then again, you want to say we have rights. We have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, but we also have Planned Parenthood where they're murdering how many babies a day? Matter of fact, that's an essential business, and they're still murdering babies with the pandemic going on. But I can't go get a tooth pulled. I mean, what the fuck's going on here? I mean,
sure.
I don't.
My argument was never going to be a gotcha. My argument was never going to be a gotcha. As you said, I was going to move on from that aspect. If you're going to the point of saying that everybody has the right to life, liberty, and happiness, so to speak, then how do you enforce those rights? Do you have a form of a police force? Do you have a form of hierarchy?
I believe in a representative republic. I do believe that does give a hierarchy. So we elect people who we believe have our best interests in mind. And then we grant them certain personal powers, rights that we supersede to them temporarily. That way they could be the mayor, the governor, the president, the congressman, the representative, etc. Sure. I get that. So yes, obviously there's a hierarchy. That's what you've been trying to get me to agree to the whole time. Yes, you're right, but it's temporary. Whereas in other systems, i.e. a constitutional monarchy, you have a family that is just granted this for forever.
Sure, no, I understand. That.
Ours is a temporary secession of rights. Temporary, though.
Sure. No, I'm completely not with you. My point wasn't going to be comparing that. The English is better or that's better or anything else like that. I just wanted to understand what your point of hierarchy was and who is under that point of hierarchy. Do you believe in a form of police force then that is going to be able to enforce any of those types of rights?
Do I believe in a police force? Yeah, obviously.
A type.
Yeah. We don't want people going around killing and raping and stealing.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not against the police. I never really have been. I'm against their overuse of force. I will point that out when the time calls for it. But I'm intrinsically opposed to the idea of police enforcement. No, I'm not. Yes, we obviously need a police force, and we obviously need a military to protect our country. Before you even get to that question, obviously we need that.
I knew that you wanted a military, which is why I was going to say, would you use the military as a form of police force, or would you keep it as a form of private, or would it be run by the hierarchy?
I would prefer private. I would prefer the local government hired. Let's say, okay, so like the military does it with Blackwater, right? Private, we call them mercenaries to denigrate them. But yeah, a private security force, kind of like universities do. Why not? Especially a small town. You can easily do that. You can have a contract for, $100,000 a year or whatever, and have a private police force. They issue the tickets. They collect the income off the tickets, other than 30 or 40% that they pass to the city. And you have pretty much the same situation we have now, but it's private, which means when they overreach and they overstep, we can actually nail them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're not public servants.
No, I completely not agree with you. I completely not agree with you. You just mentioned the idea of fines. Would you be under the idea of non-violent crimes, so to speak, would be a finable offence? And if you agree with the first premise, as in non-violent crimes, how would you be able to put that into your life, liberty, and happiness?
What type of non-violent offenses though? I need a little bit more information here before I give you my answer.
It's your ideology, Doug. It's your ideology, Dodge. I'm asking you on your opinion of what you think would be the best utopian view, so to speak.
Well, I mean, okay, so we shouldn't leave our kids in the car when it's 95 degrees out and go into the store to buy liquor. Okay, that should be fine. I mean, like, that's why I'm asking, what do you mean here? Because are you talking about drug offenses? Somebody smoking a joint in their house and not hurting anybody? No, they shouldn't be fined. Leave them the fuck alone.
What about speeding? What about speeding or drink driving or drug driving?
Drunk driving can affect other people. You can kill somebody. I've never driven drunk, and I wouldn't. I do believe that hurts people. I don't believe that's a non-violent crime, actually, because you're going to kill somebody eventually.
Sure, but that has the potential to be a violent crime. The crime itself at that point is a non-violent crime. It has the potential, I agree with you, to be a violent crime.
Yeah, I know, but still, do you want to take that risk? I don't know. I don't think anybody should be driving drunk. Now maybe that's an emotional issue for me. Because I've had friends die because they were drunk driving and they wrecked and they died. I have a friend, he's sitting in Oregon State Penitentiary right now because he was driving messed up on drugs and wrecked. And he killed the passenger that was his best friend. So not only does he have to deal with the fact that he killed his best friend, but he got 25 years in the penitentiary. 25 years. They threw the book at him. No, that crime does affect people. But you sitting in your house and smoking a fucking joint, how does that affect anybody but yourself? I mean, really?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. No, I completely agree, Matt. I'm completely with you. But my point was that if you're going to be fining people for these non-violent crimes that may or may not go against your life, liberty, and happiness, then how would you enforce them? And if you are enforcing them, as said that you would, then is that not the government then taking money off of you?
Let's do it this way. All right. Simple. We do it on a local level. Like I said, you have private police enforcing local ordinances. Now, if you don't like your local ordinance, move to another principality. Move. Bam. They have their own ordinances. You don't like those? Move again. That's why the United States is split in the 50 states, split into many counties and parishes, and even then split into cities and principalities. We get to choose where we live.
Completely not with you.
So there we go.
With you. But if you were going to do a blanket statement,
if
you're going to do a blanket statement for the area in which you're in.
Nope. There is no blanket rule when it comes to libertarianism or individuality. We want this on the local level, which means I want a million different ideas out there. I want the diversity.
Sure.
I want different rules.
I'm with you.
No, I'm not going to give you a blanket.
I'm with you. I'm with you, but how would you be able to, in your opinion, for where you want to live, how would you square that circle of being able to say, look, for non-violent crimes, we're going to take money off of you?
Well, I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't even live in a town. So I guess I wouldn't have those rules where I lived. If I got into a wreck and the asshole was drunk, I'd probably just whoop their fucking ass if I survived. If I'm dead, then I guess you sue the family of the driver or the driver themselves if they survive. I don't know.
Okay.
Not everything will be perfect. I mean, it's a political ideal. It's not going to be perfect here.
Sure. No, I completely and utterly understand where you're coming from. Let's say, for instance, that somebody's...
Sherardi, yes, you can move. You know what? You don't even have to afford to move. You can just grab your stuff and leave. The fact that you don't believe you can is a you problem, not a me problem. Okay? Because you can just up and leave. You can go and put your thumb out and walk down the fucking highway. Okay? Don't give me that shit. Because people sold everything they fucking owned, bought a wooden cart and a couple of fucking ox, and went to Oregon where they knew nothing. They didn't know what was going to happen when they got here. They didn't know where they were going to fucking live. They didn't know if they were going to fucking make it because of the goddamn Indians on the way. But they did it. Sure. So, you can't jump in your fucking $30,000 car and drive up the fucking highway. Give me a break. Give me a break. This is 2020. Sure. Yes, you can fucking move.
I think that what Shirati is saying, that, yeah, you can move once or twice. But when it comes to a point of if you keep on moving because you don't like where you're moving to or from, you're always going to be downsizing. So you're always losing money. So there's a limitation of how far and how long that you can keep on moving.
Well, then do your research.
I could be wrong.
Or do your research first and look into it. We have this thing called the internet. It's amazing. You know, you can actually Google places and figure out what the tax rate is, figure out what their laws are, figure out what their employment level is. Oh, it's amazing. You know, that research thing that you like to say you do so much. I'm sorry, but the chat's been nailing me, so I'm swinging back.
Sure, no, that's fine. You have every right to do that. That's obviously not a problem. Though I would try and stick on Shirati's point on that and go, okay, well, if she does do all of that and she doesn't actually have the money to move to a good area, then she's only limited to bad areas. So she then has to make a decision of where she is to where she wants to go. Now, just because you can move doesn't mean that you actually move to a better place.
The world isn't perfect. I mean, what do you want from me? It's not perfect. Deal with it. I got nothing. I mean, that's it. The world's not perfect.
No, I'm with you. Let's go back to the previous points that we were making. Let's go and say that a guy has hit you or hit your wife and he's dead. But in what you said before, that you would sue them or sue the family, how would the case be brought to sue the family of the person that's deceased that did the crime if you believe in individuality?
Because, like it or not, there is a contract within society that when debts are owed by a family member that passes on, that the debt still needs to be repaid. So like, let's say I owe student loans and I die. My wife has to pay that. That's a thing. Just like when you die, your family has to pay for the funeral if you don't set it up ahead of time, no matter what. And it's not their fault that you died. It's just, it happens. So it would go the same route.
Those are different. No. It's completely different.
No, it's not, because they already sue the family now. This already happened. How?
Do you mean from civil cases?
Yeah. You get into it if you're driving down the highway drunk and you fucking hit somebody and you die, the family of the fucking person hit can sue your family for the fucking damages. It already happened.
Sue the family or sue the perpetrator? Sue the family or the perpetrator. There's a big difference.
Like if I'm driving down the highway and even if I die, if I'm drunk and I hit somebody, my wife could get sued. And the family has to pay the lawsuit if it goes through. It already happens in America. It's already a thing. So I'm not speaking crazy here.
Yeah, but that's just absolutely fucked up. How can somebody else that's not part of the situation pay for something they're not even part of?
Because, especially when it comes to the wife, It was your husband. Just like right now in the United States, you get arrested and you go to prison. Your wife pays a bill every month for you being in prison. That's why most prisoners end up divorced almost immediately. Their significant other pays for their prison stay. They get billed, dude. Like this shit already.
No, I'm with you, but I'm talking about your ideology.
The same thing.
I'm not talking about what already happens.
I'm just telling you what already.
The system is a fucked up system.
And my ideology, dude. Do you think I'm gonna get everything I want? No, we already have a current system in place that we're gonna have to work under. So I mean,
no, I understand, but I'm talking to you about your ideology.
Okay, my perfect situation. No, the guy that did the fucking running the person over, should be charged. Oh, he's dead. Game over. Move on. That would be my perfect system. I'm telling you reality.
That's fair enough. But I'm asking you your ideology, not the reality.
I'd rather talk about the reality.
That's why I'm trying to ask you what your opinions are on your ideology. Well, I didn't actually know that was that bad for how the system is US for that. Yeah, I was asking you for your opinions and what you would want as your ideology, not what's going on.
Fair enough. I'd rather keep it in the frame of what's actually happening because that's where I'm. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now?
No, just give me a second. My headphones. Try one more time, Dodge.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you were freezing on my end too, so I figured it was you. But no, I've been keeping it within the realm of what's actually happening because that's my frame of reference. I don't necessarily sit down and think, ooh, in maddodge's perfect world, what would I have? I never really think that way. So I've been trying to give a frame of reference from reality.
Okay, I was just trying to say what your ideology is. That's why I wanted to talk to you about you said before that you watched the anarcho communist video live stream.
Yeah,
that's where I wanted. That's where I wanted to go. I wanted to talk to you about your ideology, about what you felt it was the best.
Usually, though, I keep everything in the frame of reference, which is reality. So, I am talking like, can I make changes? This is what I would try and change, but we still have the overriding system. Like, we're not going to be able to burn the system down and restart.
Sure. But that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you about your ideal worldview, which is why I talked to the other guy and said, look, this is going to be your complete and utter worldview. Just tell me what you want as your utopian ideology, what you think would be the best idea for the world.
Okay. Best idea. I want a president, 1 term, 6 years, line item veto, which means you can go through any bill and you can go, nope, to this line. Yes to this, nope to this. No more pork barrel spending. I would like a limitation on how many terms you can actually serve in Congress and in the House of Representatives. I would like, well, let's see here. Are we talking federal level or local? Like, give me
any level.
Since I know exactly what you mean now, throw me a question and I'll field
it. Let's go with the idea of what would you want as a right, so to speak?
Well, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the right to earn an income, the right to own a business. I would like a lot of the red tape cut out so it's easier to start a business because even Thomas Edison failed 299 times before he created the light bulb. Okay, so you need to be able to try a business, fail, and then try another one. You need to make it easy. Right now, it's not easy to do so. If you try and open up a restaurant and you go under, good luck trying to open up a t-shirt company. It's just not going to happen. You already tanked, and you already went through so much red tape that you can't do that again, because the red tape itself costs money. You got to hire a lawyer, an accountant. You got to do this, do that. You know what I mean? Streamline stuff. I would like.
You need to hire a. Go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, wouldn't you need to hire an accountant or a lawyer in some form of aspect anyway to set up a business? Or would there be absolutely no regulation whatsoever? Or would you have small amounts of regulation? Or
it depends on the regulations. We can go on an individual basis on the regulations. Like, okay, coal mining. Yeah, they should have respirators. Yeah, it should be a safe environment. They shouldn't be down there and fill up with gases and fucking die like it was 1890 again. You know, certain industries need certain regulations, but we overdo the regulations, in my opinion. And it's because we do a blanket regulation for everybody. So we go to the worst case scenario for the worst industry, and then we blanket the regulations at that level. We don't need that. We need to be more individual level when it comes to employment and employers.
Do you mean individual on the aspect of personhood, or do you mean individual on the aspect of, let's say, category? As in, as you said, coal miners. So regulation for miners, and then something else for bakers.
Yeah. Sorry about the yelling. But yes, the second one is what I was talking about.
Okay. With the idea then of regulation in that aspect, do you agree or would put in a form of a localized hierarchy, as you said before, or would you want it as a national form of hierarchy that then devolves to local area, or would you want it just completely and utterly localized and everybody else is on their own, so to speak?
A localized hierarchy in what sense? Clarify a little bit more for me.
As in a form of localized government, as minarchist or as massive as you want. I presume the former rather than the latter, but a form of a figurehead or a form of hierarchy, leadership in some shape or form. Would you prefer a national and devolving to local, or just local and fuck the national?
I would prefer as local as possible. Now, if that means the state level, like for all coal miners in West Virginia, this is the regulation, then that's fine. I would prefer on the county or parish level, though, to be honest, because the more local you get, the more you can specify it to your constituents, the more that it will work, because you can hear the problems. They can talk to you directly, and you understand what you actually need to regulate. When you do a blanket regulation over a swath of people, nothing is individualized. You know what I mean?
No, I do actually understand where you're coming from. Would that mean that with a localized hierarchy system, as you put into place, would that then be able to... Obviously, you'd be able to trade with who you want to and whatnot. But what would happen if you were, say, segregated, as in that everybody that was around you locally decided that they weren't going to trade with you? Would you be able to go over them? Would you be able to go around them? Is that the type of regulation that you would say that you'd have to work out with their state or their area? Or would it just not matter, so to speak?
Once again, this is where libertarians end up sounding heartless. If you messed up so bad that you can't do business in your local area, well, then you might want to move. I'm sorry. Obviously, you did something. It sounds like a you problem. If every cunt decided you're a cunt, then maybe you're a cunt. You know what I mean?
No, sure. But I mean, say, for instance, with the idea of this libertarian ideology that we're going through at the minute, where we're saying that let's say somewhere smack bang in the middle of the country has formed its own province, got its own form of hierarchical system that you've put into place, but the rest of the country has decided that they're going to stay at a federal level, be a national level, and they have completely decided to ostracize you simply because you're on your own. How would you go about being able to trade with those other types of people, or negating the trade with the United States, so to speak, at that point, and going international? Because you wouldn't be able to, say, form a trading partnership and could be able to get planes coming in or rivers coming in or ships, if you know what I mean. So how would you go about dealing with that? Or would it just be a case of, well, that's it, you're fucked?
Me personally, you know what I would do? I would slash my prices. Yeah, I'm shooting myself in the foot at first, right? But slash my prices. They'll come to me, even if it's illegal. They'll come to me because my prices are half of what everybody else is charging. So they're going to be lining up at the door.
Sure.
And then I gradually raise my prices back to industry level and then a little bit higher, just so I make up my losses in the beginning. That's what you do, is you outcompete.
Sure. So let's take what you've just said. As you said, that you could use a form of, let's say that you've legalized stuff that other people haven't or don't have or isn't legal in the rest of the country, so to speak, and the rest of the country is coming to you to get it. How long do you think that it would take for the United States to go, right, we're going to scrub you off of the map?
I don't know. Ask Oregon and recreational marijuana. They haven't scrubbed us off the map. We're still here, buddy. Matter of fact, the marijuana industry was a okay, they're still working. Whatever that the term is, it fucking left my mind for some reason. Maybe it's the legal marijuana. Sure. Essential business. Yeah, legal marijuana is an essential business in Oregon, along with the liquor store. Okay, so yeah, sure. When are they going to scrub us off the map? They're not. So
because you're part of the United States.
I will take the hazard.
Because, sure, but that's because you're part of the United States. The point that I was making, that you wouldn't have been part of the United States, and you've made or exceeded your own aspect of it, and you're smack down in the middle of the United States. My point was that you weren't protected by the Constitution. You're completely separate by yourself in your libertarian utopia. I use that for ease rather than it being an ad hoc.
Okay, well then
that's the point I was making. You're not protected.
Okay, then I would treat it the same way the Indian reservations do, where they have untaxed tobacco and they have casinos, they have illegal fireworks. Everything they sell there is legal there, but once you leave the reservation, it's actually illegal. So I would treat it the same way. I would pretty much be an independent entity within the United States, like a reservation.
Sure, but are the reservations still protected by the point of Constitution, as in agreement that the US won't attack them?
No. It's really weird. The reservation system is really weird. Okay, so they are sovereign territory of the tribe. Sovereign territory. Sure. This is not United States territory. We have a treaty with them. On the federal level, they are only recognized so much as we will leave you alone, and per our treaty, we'll grant you money. That's it. Even the CVID stuff. No, even the CVID stuff where the states were locking everything down, they could not do it to the reservations. The reservations are on their own. Okay, so that's how separate we are from them. They are their own countries.
Sure. No, I'm completely and utterly with you. But my point was that they already have a form of an agreement, and the American people would also kick up a massive fuss about it. But my point was that they're considered Native Americans. I suppose what I'm trying to get at, that if America wanted to make it shit for you, they could quite easily do that. How would you be able to survive as a libertarian without infringing on other people's rights, so to speak, by trying to expand or trying to force trade to come in and out? Because the United States themselves could quite easily block off all of your trade that's coming in, as in trying to get things from China, for instance, or from the UK or from Europe to be able to come into your state. I use that term again loosely, to be able to, fund what you've already said. If they're stopping all of that from coming in, the holding it at customs, or, not being able that type of a deal being able to be brokered, how would you be able to run?
I don't know. And I'm not. Okay, I understand you were going with the utopian thing, but I'm not necessarily understanding how this situation would ever come to pass. I'm not a part of a reservation, and I'm not actively revolting to secede from the United States. So I don't really know where this line of questioning is going, to be honest.
No, that's fine. The reason why I'll quickly clarify.
Airports and stuff, man, you set up a fucking local airport and you fly them in. If the United States stops you, then I guess they stop you. What are you gonna do? It's the United States. Like, that's what I'm not understanding what I'm supposed to be defending here.
No, I'm not trying to ask you how you would defend it. I'm trying to ask how you would broker deals with countries that have certain regulations that you would actually have to adhere to. So, say, for instance, that anybody who wanted to join the European Union, they would have to uphold to those types of traditions and laws, for instance. Anybody that wanted to do the North American trade between Mexico, Canada, and the US and whatnot, they would have to abide by certain regulations. If you were to succeed and be your own libertarian state, how would you square that circle of being able to trade with them when they force regulations on you to be able to trade? Is what my overall question is.
I would, if I wanted to trade with other nations, all I would really ask for is an equal trade agreement. So your tariff is at 1.5%. We'll match and go 1.5%. So it's pretty much, at the zero mark, right? Because we're matching each other and we're importing and exporting. So that's how I would try and do it. Sure. Now, if you want to start moving yours around and going into the trade war footing, well, then turnabout's fair play, right?
Sure. I mean, my point wasn't about the structure of the interest rate, so to speak, or the VAT rates or whatever. It was more about the points of regulation. So if you were to trade with the US, you would have to meet a regulatory point of standard. So would have to be at a certain standard.
Oh, meat. Okay, when it comes to food, you're right. But I have to challenge you on this because no, you don't. Why do you think we buy so much from China? Like, I mean, we got fucking 11-year-olds in China making our fucking products. They're not sticking to any of our regulatory standards at all. I mean, they're probably
Are they not checked by the FDA? Are they not checked by the FDA at all?
The Food and Drug Administration? Food and Drug Administration. Do you think they check your Legos? Do you think they check your oil? Do you think they check your t-shirts? No. Food and Drug Administration. Food and drugs. That's it. That's all we care about. Sure. Right? That's why.
Sure, but that's what we're talking about, food.
Well, that's why Chinese products have gotten through that were contaminated with shit, with like lead-based paint and stuff like that, because we don't check it. And if
But
I'm
are
gonna
they checked now?
if I'm gonna run a country smack dab in the middle of the United States, food is not my export. The United States makes way more food than I ever could. That's not going to be my export.
Sure, but it would be an import.
My export's going to be cocaine, and I don't need to import food.
But
no, smack dab in the middle of the United States, I don't need to import food. I'll have local farmers grow my food, sell it on a local level. I don't need to import your shit.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to import or import computer games. You wouldn't want to import other forms of food. Would you be able to do all eggs? Would you be able to do mangoes, oranges, those types of things, especially in different climate areas? Would you be able to do everything that you would need?
That's a fair point. I forgot about oranges. I like orange juice. I'll make a special deal with Florida. That'll be fine. And lemons. I like my lemonades, so gotta make a deal for that. But no, what do you mean? Like food, like staples? Most places are, if everything was boiled down back to the local level, most areas are self-sustainable. They really are. I mean, look at Oregon, for God's sake.
I understand. No, I understand. I'm not talking about sustainability. I'm honestly talking about that you want something from another country because they have something that you don't have. So you're going to have to trade with them. That means that you have to meet a regulatory standard because they set a standard and you will have to agree to it.
To import, I don't really have to agree because the United States would have its own standards. I would just be paying them for the import. Now, to export food, I might have to come to some standard. But once again, why am I exporting food to the United States? Why? They produce enough themselves. I don't think this is going to be
Say that you're importing beer. Say that you're exporting beer.
Microbreweries. I am totally brewing my own beer in my own territory. Don't even fuck with me on that one. We're making our own spirits too.
Sure, but in some circumstances that you'd have to get the right environment to be able to do it, and maybe the climate's just not there. The point that I am generally trying to make is that there is only so much that you can grow, which is why that you would need herbs and spices, for instance, like salt, pepper.
Okay, no. Okay, Enigma. First off, I live in Oregon. I was bucking hay at 13 years old, and I do know a little bit about farming. And no, the soil isn't completely destroyed in Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. We rotate crops. We're not fucking retarded, sir. So before you start talking shit about me, how about you take a look in the fucking mirror, you fucking cunt? No, that shit pisses me off. I'm sick of being called fucking stupid. I am tired of it.
That's fair enough. But as we were talking, my point wasn't that there's always going to be something that you're going to want from another country. There's always going to be something. Say, for instance, that you want to export your people, for instance, your labor. So they're going to want to try and put in trade deals to be able to get, well, we want your people, you want this, let's put in a trade deal to be able to sort things out. There's always going to be some form of regulatory standards that you're going to have to meet for something for somewhere. I'm just wondering how you're going to square that regulation in your ideology, so to speak.
Then you don't do the deal. If the regulation goes too far, then you don't do the deal. That's it. But I don't believe it would. If I'm importing, then it doesn't really matter what the regulations are. They already abided by them. If I'm exporting, then I do need to meet some sort of regulation. And when the deal comes to the table, we discuss it. And we discuss it as a nation state, and we decide whether we are willing to do so or not. We vote on it. I mean, sure. I'm not going to get everything I want all the time, or else it wouldn't be individuality, would it? Like you're going to have to make concessions. You're going to have to make deals. You take it to the table and you vote on it. That would be my answer. Okay, this is the regulation, guys. They want us to do this. Do we agree? Yes or no? Is it worth it?
Sure.
Is it worth getting this stockpile of fucking lemonade to raise our minimum wage by $1? Or even have a minimum wage, because I wouldn't have a minimum wage, but whatever.
Sure. Straight Stiff Mail makes a good point in chat. Coffee, oil, steel. The list does go on of what you would actually need to trade in to the country.
Yeah, no, and I never said we wouldn't have to trade. We would have to come to an agreement. If they want to put a regulation on us, does it outweigh the regulation? Does the benefit outweigh the negative? We'll have to come to that. Sure. And he said most places are sustainable. Simply not true. Actually, they kind of are. You even have people in fucking New York and LA with gardens on their fucking roofs. Are you kidding me right now? You're telling me we can't actually feed ourselves? Dude, get a fucking life. Fucking hell. God, stupidity runs rampant.
Yeah, no, I think what we'll do is, at the minute, because we've been going for about an hour and 45, 40. I normally end around about 2 hours. Is there anything that you want to ask me in return? Because I like to try and switch it for the last 10, 15 minutes. That way it doesn't feel like I've been bombarding you with questions.
Yeah, okay, so first off, I already know where you stand politically, but for the viewers, where do you stand politically? I'm a libertarian. What are you?
I'm very, very socially liberal, but I'm economically right-center. So I would say that I'm a libertarian capitalist, libertarian capitalist. So that's where I line up, but I'm more for a minarchist form of government rather than no government, and I understand that there does need to be forms of taxes and things like that. So I'm not a complete and utter libertarian. I'm a little bit in between, more centrist than anything, I suppose.
How do you feel about the lockdown? The stay-at-home orders, the fact that you're forced to remain at home even if you're not ill. Do you believe that was a needed action, or do you think they're overreacting?
I do think that they're overreacting, but at the same time, I'm not an expert. I'm never ever going to purport myself to be an expert of anything. I can give my opinions. I say that myself, I think it's blown out of proportion, especially for younger people overall. But at the same time, I can understand why they put the country down into lockdown, and I can understand the mass hysteria that comes with it, especially with the betrayal of the media. I can also understand why politicians have come out the way that they have done on all sides, simply because that if you were to stand out and put your head above the water, so to speak, you've got more chance of being cut down. Now, I do agree that they should put themselves up into those sort of positions. After all, they are there to represent us. But again, one false move in a political doctrine or political ideology can now be completely and utterly blown out of proportion by any aspect of the media and completely and utterly destroy you as a political career. So it's a conundrum.
Well, no, and I know that you were going to school for not quite the medical field, but psychological, right? Weren't you going to be a psychiatrist? Isn't that what you were going to college for? Or am I wrong?
I was. No, I was. You are completely not correct on that one. But I found out that I am not patient with people. so it's not the career for me.
Okay, well, fair enough. I was just saying, like, you were going to school for the medical field, so I thought I would ask. No, and Enigma, I'm not Top Hat. I'm Mad Dodge, or you know what? I don't even fucking care. I'm Chris. All right, come at me, bro. I don't fucking give a fuck. You want to fucking continue to talk shit? Hey, go to Mad Dodge Productions and hit subscribe, and then you can talk shit almost every night. It'll be great. You know, I'll show you lots of attention. You know, all that attention that your mother never gave you. Yeah, you'll get it from.
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. You glitched there for a second, but all right. So how do you feel about the economy? Or no, actually, you know what? Fuck the economy. Brexit. You guys finally left. I think. Did that actually happen?
Yeah.
CVID stopped.
No, we've left. No, we definitely left.
Well, I know that you were pro Brexit. I get that, right?
Yeah.
Now that it's actually happened, has there been any change, really?
But we haven't actually technically fully left the EU yet.
Oh,
not much is going to change. The point of, well, no, the reason why is because we don't leave officially until the 22nd of January, I believe.
Okay, no, Enigma, you are too easily trolled, Chris. Oh, say my name. I'm sorry. It's just awesome. No, seriously, Enigma, I like you suddenly. You're awesome. Go subscribe. I want to see you in my chat. That would be great. You now have my full support. I like you. But okay, so you haven't fully left. It's interesting.
Well, no, we have left. We're just in a transitional period. In other words, we're still regulatorily aligned with the EU, but we've officially left. But then we can succeed from the regulations after the 22nd of January.
Are you going to end up paying them?
As far as I'm aware, we're not paying them anything extra. We're not paying them anything as far as I'm aware at the minute.
I thought that they said because you were leaving that you had to pay them like 600 billion or some shit. Like there was some.
Yeah, they can sit and swivel. Yeah, they can sit and swivel. It's not being paid. Boris has already said it's not being paid.
Okay, good. And Boris is okay, right? Because I know he was in the hospital with CVID or whatever.
Yeah, no, he's all back at work and everything at the minute now. So he's done quite well, bless him.
That's good. I happen to like Boris. I think he's hilarious, and the fact that he doesn't even care about combing his hair, like, I'm serious. Yeah. It looks like a mop, and it's like every which way. You never know how it's gonna look.
No, I know that, mate. But that's the thing with politics, isn't it? You never really know. You think that you know the answers, or people know the answers, and you start implementing those answers, and they can or they are wrong. Sometimes they're right. We just hope that we get it more right than wrong. It's almost a reflection of life and humanity, almost.
Okay, so all right. You pretty much line up with me politically, it sounds like, and I've already knew that. Like, you know, you opened up with saying it. Like, we've known each other for years now, so we already know where we stand. But what about the British the Labour Party? What do you think about them? And what's your stance on unions? Are they needed? Are they a necessary evil?
It depends. The politicizing of the unions isn't needed. The idea of unions being able to fight corporations and being able to draw attention to the government of how corporations are running individuals. I do think that they're needed on that side of things. They're definitely needed on the pure ideology of what unions were built for. But with the idea of how unions are now put down as political powers or political tools, oh, this political union endorses this political member, it doesn't seem that they're actually enforcing what they're supposed to be and looking after the individuals, looking after the workers. It looks like they're actually more a sub-political set of what Labour should or would be. When they say that, oh, they're looking after the ideas of the workers, it doesn't actually seem that they are, especially with the idea of how the voting representation has shifted again. That even with the idea of the unionization, they don't actually represent the workers. They don't represent the working class. It's, to me, it's very interesting because the unions are there to protect the workers, but with the idea of socialism and with the idea of that political ideology, the workers are generally, in my opinion, under the term of socialism, are actually being, let me say that they are being scapegoated. They're being put forward as everything that's wrong with the country, as in, you're not looking after these, you're not looking after them. And you look at the people that are supposed to be representing them, and they don't have a fucking clue what the working class actually wants or needs. I think that's the reason why you have a separation of the Labour Party at the minute, where you have the socialist red part of the party almost seceding, should I say, from the party, because you have the blue-collar working class that is actually going, we don't want any part of your socialist rhetoric. And you can actually see it separating again. And I find that interesting that Labour Party itself is going to go under technically a third point of revolution if you want to go back to the idea of the Liberal Party from its foundation. So, yeah, it seems very interesting. Political landscaping is going to be very interesting for the UK, at least over the next couple of years.
I'm glad I asked that question. That was rather in depth. Thank you. Like, no, seriously, that was a great answer, and I'm glad I asked that question because it sounds like you need to make a video about that, honestly. I think you have more to say.
That means work, though. That means work, though, maddodge. You know what I'm like.
But I mean, it sounds like you have more to say, man. Like, that was in depth on really what I thought would be like a 30-second answer. I hate unions. That's what I expected.
It depends, because I do hate the way that they're politicized, especially student unions. Student unions or unions in universities seem to just be completely and utterly politicized now. But you do have some unions that are actually doing what they're supposed to do and looking after the workers. And I am for workers' rights. So when it's done properly and they're actually there to protect the workers and defend workers from unfair dismissal and, you know, getting money together and making sure that people are actually looked after, there isn't a better form of politicalization. But it comes to the point of now that they are now being used as a subset for their policies. They're now being pushed to say, well, this union supports this, so it must be good. I was never pro-union, Ain't Jack. I was never pro-union. I like the idea of them, but their implementation has always been a case of misuse and mismanagement. It's always been a point of a more gentleman club than what the Tories are, in my opinion. You have to be part of the union, otherwise you're a scab. There's more ostracization from a union than there is from politics. So I've never been pro-union, but I understand why it's in place.
Okay, and I think we only have like 7 minutes left. So here's let's spit a couple of quick questions at you. All right. When it comes to NATO, the UN, and the band called Who, do you support them?
Yeah. I support the ideas of them. The ideas of them are very interesting, and again, like all good ideas, the implementation is always fucked. So the idea, yes. The actual implementation of them, no.
What about the band? Because that's where I've been getting in trouble. I had 2 streams taken down because I was talking about that band. And you know what I mean, because luckily,
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you are. I know exactly where you are. The band itself is interesting because it's supposed to be impartial, but it shows its partiality every time that any Asian country decides that it's going to talk bad about a particular other bigger Asian country. And as soon as they start talking ill of it or presuming that that country was hiding statistics, for instance, now you know exactly who I'm talking about. That organization, that band, so to speak, is the reason why I'm looking around is because I'm trying to find synonyms for the word that or analogies for the word I want to use.
Will be taken down, dude. I was in the middle of my show taken down, and then it went back up 5 minutes later when we stopped talking about the band. Like, I swear to God, they're listening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but that's the thing. The point of censorship is absolutely rampant on particular things, and it doesn't matter what your political ideology is when it comes to those types of censorship. So, yeah, for me, I don't support them. The idea again is very interesting and should be implemented correctly, but like any system, it's easily corruptible, and it seems like if you've got the money and you're willing to put the money in a particular area, then it's a case of it's easily corruptible. And we're seeing that with the point of statistics were not given by a particular country correctly. So it's not the country's fault. We're not going to mention that. We're just going to bypass that and not mention it at all.
Yeah, and I know your stance on this, but this is your wheelhouse, so I'm gonna throw you a softball here. Tommy Robinson and the gangs. Dude, how bad is that still? Is that still going on with the Telford thing and stuff like that? Or have you guys finally gotten around to, I don't know, shutting that fucking bullshit down?
Well, I presume that it's still going on. I presume it's still going on. Unfortunately, organized child happiness is a commodity that rich people always go in and are part of. Hence why when people go into the idea of the gang, so to speak, they generally go into the idea of how the hierarchical systems interacted with them. So we go to the police and how the police decided that they were going to hide away or not investigate certain groups of people or give excuses why they didn't do it, even though people threw them names and registrations and whatnot. And then we go a step higher, we go to the local councillors level, that they didn't want to implement anything or push anything because of racism, which generally, once you start finding out that those types of people are actually involved in it, you kind of start questioning. Look at Rotherham, look at a couple of others as well. Newcastle is a great example of that one. You go for the point of them going a little bit higher. You look at the form of how BBC has interacted with them as well, and how they have had their own implementations of child interactions. Again, trying to be very sensitive in the words because of the actual algorithms. Not that I'm afraid of saying it, it's just I don't want the stream taken down because of it. You go into the idea of how the media themselves are afraid to do it because of they interact with it themselves. You then go to the point of governments. I did a video where Gordon Brown and Tony Blair knew about Rotherham. They knew about it. It was brought to their attention, but they never actually did anything about it. I also did the same video of Gordon Brown and Labour Party when they took over. You had Savage Javid that was actually knew about all of the grooming gangs and everything else like that, but did fuck all about it.
Yeah, no, and
If
it's
that doesn't
like from an outsider looking in, this stuff has been going on for decades. And you're attacking the English Defense League and you're attacking Tommy Robinson for trying to expose this. I mean, I know he separated himself from the EDL because the EDL went down a rabbit hole, right? So he separated himself from them. I get that. But they still link him to it. So it is still valid to bring up because they're linking him to it. They're bringing it up, right? I mean,
sure, but the reason why they are bringing it up is to defame him straight away. They're trying to slander and besmirch his character. Before the story actually even arrives, before you even read it, it's English Defence League, far right, Tommy Robinson. So they're already trying to paint him as this type of horrible person and all the connotations that come with those names and tags, so to speak. So they're already trying to denigrate him regardless of what the story is. I found it really interesting with the story of his daughter being touched and how just the name of Tommy Robinson completely divided people on the idea of his daughter being sexually assaulted, groped on her ass, and how people were saying, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. It's Tommy Robinson. I'm sure he provoked it. It's just like, this isn't about Tommy Robinson. It's about the fact that his daughter was groped and Tommy Robinson is her dad. The story is her being groped. But yet, because Tommy Robinson's name has been put involved in it, it's now besmirched the whole story. The story is now Tommy Robinson did this rather than some bloke touched a fucking 6-year-old girl's ass.
Well, yeah,
you know
no. And Enigma in the chat. I drink a malted liquor beer with Chris. Hey, dude, I'm drinking Steely right now. Cheers, buddy. Get her done. But no, you're absolutely correct. And it's really ridiculous. He's standing across the street from a courthouse, not filming the people, but he still gets arrested. I mean, it's almost like in America, okay, I own a Confederate flag. Bam, I must be fucking evil, right? That's what you guys do to him. Immediately, must be evil. Yes. Screw you, right?
Yeah, that's literally what most people do to Tommy Sense Guy. Tommy Sense Guy. Tommy Sense Guy,
I like that. Yep, we got you a new name.
I suppose it's better than Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, Steely, man. It's good. 8.1%. Come on now. Can't beat that. Well, you can. The homeboy over here's got Jack Daniels. That's 40%.
It's finished though. Right, it's getting to 2 hours. My missus has already sent me a message saying, when the fuck are you getting off of the computer, because she wants to go to bed. So go and go to bed.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head to Discord. So anybody in the chat that wants to hang out, I'll see you guys in Discord. Common Sense Guy. It's been a while. Thank you very much. If I got a little bit heated, I didn't mean to.
That's cool.
You know, and I didn't prep, dude. You heard me. I wrote you back. I was like, oh shit, I just got up. Give me 30 minutes. That's how I jumped in here. Half an hour awake. All right. So it is what it is. And
no, it's cool, mate. I appreciate you coming on anyway. It was interesting. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Obvious Enigma, Mad Dodge Productions. If I don't see you in the chat, I'm coming for you.
Stop nicking my subscribers. Fuck you. Stop it. I know that there's not many people here, but quick announcement. I should be doing a debate on Sunday between I think it's 8 or 9. I think it's 8. No, sorry, 7 to 9 o'clock. I'm going to be talking to a white nationalist that states that he's apparently a bulldog nationalist. I'll be asking what he actually means by that, but it should be an interesting discussion. Very interesting. For people that don't know, I'm a civic nationalist, which is why I like talking to nationalists in general. So I'll be very interested to see you guys there. I will be linking to the video. I'll also be doing a quick video to let everybody know on Sunday when it's happening and how it's happening. So as soon as I get the links, I'll give you guys all the links. Come and support me. It should be an actually interesting conversation because it's going to be a 3-on-1 debate. I'm going on to their show and they've got 3 people and it's just little old me. So should be interesting.
Oh, okay, you're going. Okay, I want you to ask them if this is actually okay. What I want to do is I want to open up my OBS. I want to do my little drive-in theater thing and have it on the screen and just mute myself and let it play. I want to mirror the stream and broadcast you twice as much. So ask them if that's allowed.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say it's allowed anyway, mate.
Oh, well, then I'm
After
doing
all, it's my content as well. After all, it's my content as well. I'm participating.
Yep. That's going to be awesome. Grab your popcorn, people.
And by the way, as you all know, man, I don't prep. I've been prepping. So, yeah, I've got three different Word documents at the minute because they like to talk about the Second World War. So, should be interesting.
Oh, Mad
right,
MADDODGE Productions. Mad Dodge. Mad as in insane. Yeah, because,
as you can tell, he is.
Yeah, I'm not self-aware at all.
I'll tell you what I'll do, ladies and gentlemen. If you just give me a quick second, I will, because I'm such a nice guy, I'll just do that. There you go, ladies and gents. Enjoy his channel. I will hopefully see some of you guys on Sunday, but I'm going to get off because I am going to get beaten.
All right. Thank you again, CSG. Always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Take care. Speak to you.